Welcome back to Bible Study 2.0. Today we're going to be continuing with our lesson on science and the Bible. Today we're going to be doing some pretty advanced stuff with quantum mechanics, and I think you'll agree with me that quantum mechanics is opening an entirely new world to us and how we think of our current world. So in the meantime, let's see if we can get some people to remove the fish with legs on them from a few more bumper cars. Okay, Einstein coupled the three obvious dimensions of length, width, and depth with time, which resulted in his famous equation E equals mc squared, where velocity equals the product of mass times the square of the speed of light. We've used this equation when we discussed the creation taking place in 6 days. The greatest discovery shown us by the new field of quantum mechanics was the discovery we live in a universe which has boundaries. Quantum mechanics also shows us everything from the plants and DNA that make us individuals to light is quantized or digital. Quantum mechanics shows us we live in a created digital environment. Quantum mechanics shows us the very atoms that make things like a table feel solid to us are only here part-time. Even though in school we were taught to think of an electron as a solid ball that circumnavigates the nucleus, it turns out to be only energy, which sometimes is here and sometimes it's not here. We were taught the nucleus of the atom was a very solid ball, but as it turns out, the protons that make up the nucleus are also only energy and only here some of the time. Fortunately for us, these protons are here most of the time. I should probably give a little background on this before moving on. Wave-particle duality is the concept in quantum mechanics that every particle or quantum entity may be described as either a particle or a wave, not both at the same time. The particle being a solid, where the wave is sometimes undetectable. The duality is the reason I'm saying things such as solids are only here part-time. Sometimes these solids are in wave form and undetectable. More information on wave-particle duality is readily available on the internet. Through the work of Max Planck, Albert Einstein, and quite a few others, current scientific theory holds that all particles exhibit a wave nature and vice versa. Sometimes they're solid. This phenomena has been verified not only for elementary particles, but also for compound particles like atoms and even molecules. For macroscopic particles, because of their extremely short wavelengths, wave properties usually cannot be detected. That is why we can know where a proton begins a journey, and we can also know where it ends, but because of the nature of its duality, we cannot precisely know where it is along that journey. It may be solid, or it could be in wave form and not there. Quantum mechanics shows us the only thing that makes everything seem real is there must be an observer to make it so. For example, if we put a cat in a box and seal it with a device that has an exact 50-50 chance of killing the cat, is the cat alive or dead? We can't ascertain whether the cat is alive or dead without looking inside the box. The answer is we don't know until we look. It took an observer to make that event real, whether the cat lived or died. Only a very powerful deity can see everything at once. God is the observer. He holds it all together, and He makes it real for us. I'm going to break from science for a bit and refer to the story of Moses speaking with God as the burning bush. When Moses asked who he should say sent him, God replied, "Tell them I am." In this statement, think about it, God differentiates himself from all of us by saying he is real, I am, implying everything else is not. Scientists have debunked the notion we live in an unbound universe and now think of it as something like a very large bubble. Everything in it is digitized. This leads to the conclusion we live in a created universe that has been designed much in the way we use the digital information we put into our computers to make games that seem in some cases very, very real, although they are only two-dimensionally created images on a flat screen. The nucleus of the atom is made up of positively charged protons. But if we take magnets and put the same poles together, we find they repel each other. If we ask a physicist what holds the nucleus together, he may come up with an answer, nuclear glue. But in truth, they really don't know. God tells us He holds things together. The Bible tells us He is the one that measured the universe and hung the earth on nothing. Let's look at Job, where God thankfully does a little teasing. And remember, if much of anything, such as the thickness of the earth's crust, is changed, man cannot live on earth. Scientists realize we live in an exceptionally finely tuned universe. We can't change much of anything, or life on earth ceases. This is called the anthropic principle. Read Job 38:1 to 38:41. God teases Job, but in doing so, he gives us a lot of information about how he measured the earth and tuned it. Not only the earth, but the universe as well. If we try and change the distance to the sun, like 1%, the number of stars, 1%, the weight of an atom, 1%, or even the components of the air we breathe, the amount of water in the system, the amount of dry land, the size of the earth, the speed which it rotates around the sun, the mass or temperature of the sun, the mass of the rest of the planets in our solar system, the proximity and speed of the moon, the axis of the earth, the mean height of the land or depths of the ocean, and almost everything else you can think of. Life is impossible for us on Earth, and that's at 1%. Scientists in recent years have become alarmed because of the depletion of the amount of ozone in the atmosphere, because it's the ozone that protects us from the deadly cosmic rays produced from the sun. My point is, if the universe is so finely tuned to allow life on Earth, who tuned it? Well, all an accident. Good. I can't resist digressing. Job 9:6, which shaketh the earth out of her place, and the pillars thereof tremble, which commandeth the sun, and it rises not, and sealeth up the stars, which alone spreadeth out the heavens, and treadeth upon the waves of the sea, which maketh Arcturus, Orion, and Pleiades in the chambers of the south. Scientists have only recently found out these constellations are the only stars that are gravitationally connected. This is not something apparent from the naked eye. What a coincidence God chose them as an example. It gets worse. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in its season? Or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? This puts a nail in it. There's no question the person writing this knew, without question, these constellations were connected gravitationally. Science discovered this in about 1950. Those who have taken Isaiah will recognize the earth being turned upside down and put out of her place from the passage in Job 9:6 above. Isn't it great? Science is finally catching up to the Bible. So again, if you like what we're doing here, let us know. And by all means, share with other people on the internet. Do a Bible study at home and always hit the like button. Thanks for watching. God loves you. So do we. Bye.